Imagine a league built by the people, for the people. A league dedicated to the economic development of your city. So the question becomes, how good are the 32 teams that play in the minor football league? Well, there's only one way to find out. You have to experience the MFL.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles, Chairman, CEO, and founder of the Minor Football League. Today is Wednesday. You know, it's a cold day out there. I want everybody, do not forget to wear your mask. Do not forget to wear your mask. I know I'm in Washington, D.C., and we're in a state of unrest here in D.C., but we go on with the show. You know, the MFL as the laboratory change meaning bringing former players from the field to the front office. I'm excited about the MFL. We're getting ready for 2021. I'm just excited for all the things that we're doing. I'm gonna bring our guest on, one of my GMs from down oh my goodness, I tell him, we don't too often, we don't get him up here from Georgia, Mr. Barlow Jr., Mr. Chuck Barlow Jr. How you doing today, sir? Unmute you. And also, I got my co-host, Mr. Robert Gatewood. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Chuck.
How you doing there?
Hello.
How you all doing? You know, we're in a state of unrest here. As you know, I would be remiss if I did not comment on what's going on that's taking places here in the nation capital. This is craziness, you know what I mean? And it's a shame that we have to see this kind of stuff. There's something you see in a third world country. You know, Mr. Robert Gatewood, I mean, we have to, you know, even take a few minutes to talk about this.
Well, I think we must, because as we know, we don't live in a vacuum. We have to address issues that affect us. Being here in the nation's capital and being almost a rock throw from this insurrection that's taking place, we are affected by it. I had one of my employees to call me. She didn't even know what was going on. She almost ran right into the middle of it, and she called me to say, "Hey, why nobody told me that we were under attack?" I mean, it's that kind of craziness going on, and I just have some serious questions about where were the police? How in the heck does a country as big and protected as the United States allow insurrectionists to get into the Capitol? Well, you're talking about the seat of power, and they're breaking down windows with shields and sticks, and the police are nowhere to be found. Let me tell you something. If these were black people, they would have been bombing the Capitol grounds. They'd have had snipers on the roof. We'd have probably seen a tank or two. So that just shows you that there's something seriously wrong in this country, that this can happen on the Capitol grounds and people are still milling around now like it's a picnic or something. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Mr. Barlow, I know you have a comment, sir. You know, and the sad part is the fact that this is the nation capital, the most protected city in the world, and something like this can happen. I mean, you know, Mr. Barlow, how you feel about this, seeing this unfold?
Well, first of all, let's not be overtaken by the negativity that has happened today. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was saying, let us not be overtaken by the negativity today. We have some things that we have to celebrate today. And I think that some of the negativity has tried to overshadow it. Yes, we're gonna deal with it, but we definitely have to say that, you know, Reverend Warnock and Ossoff, congratulations on being able to be officially winners of their campaigns. This is a time for healing. This is a time for restoration. It's a time for the leaders who are out here to reconcile our differences and take a pause. What we see today in the nation capital has saddened me. For us to be America, the United States of America, the leading country in the world in most cases, and a lot of things, I'm saddened to know that we as adults are showing our children how unprofessional we are acting today. This is sad, but again, I don't want to let the acts of these individuals overshadow those who have worked so hard and worked together collaboratively, both parties, working together, who have worked hard, don't deserve what we're seeing today.
But can I amen what brother Barlow said? And I do want to say congratulations to Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff for that amazing victory for those two incoming senators. And Brother Chuck is exactly right. We cannot be distracted. And we look at these type of events that's happening right now on Capitol Hill. It's doing exactly what I'm sure they intended it to do, to take our eyes off the prize. Like I said, we've had this amazing victory now. The Congress now is the Senate is 50-50, and of course, any type of split would be broken by the vice president. So there's a lot to celebrate. This is a terrible thing that we're experiencing right now on Capitol Hill. But on January 20th, we will have a new president, hopefully, that things will get back to normal, and we'll start seeing this country turn around and move in the right direction.
Yeah, and y'all are so right, but I cannot bite my tongue because what I've seen today, I mean, it's something you see in third world countries, and I'm not going to let them off the hook that easy, gentlemen. I understand what y'all saying, and that's the big picture, but in spite of all that, what was we seen today was totally wrong. It was wrong. It showed a lack of respect for our way of life and stuff, but they always point the finger the other direction. Now, what is going to be, I like to see what the headlines say now. This looked like a third world country. And more importantly, I was hurt. There was no park police, is no Capitol Police. The only people was left there was DC Metropolitan Police, and they could not handle that. But what saddens me, gentlemen, is the fact that if you don't know, DC have 200 different police agencies here alone. What were they?
Look, Brother Myles, remember back in a few months ago, there was a peaceful protest taking place a few feet from the White House. These were peaceful protesters. They come along for the president to have his photo op with his Bible in front of his church. They come out with the billy clubs, the tear gas, and they basically assaulted this group of peaceful protesters. Today we have armed vigilantes, terrorists, insurrectionists, and they're milling around like it's a picnic. I can't. Words escape me. I guess because I'm so close to it. This is right up the street for me. I mean, I can almost look out the window and smell the tear gas is going to start in a few minutes. Wow. This should not happen. This is privilege. This is white privilege at its height. Black people cannot get away with this. I'm telling you. This is really. Look. Of course, we should be angry at the protesters because this is the country that we live in. But we should be angrier of this hypocrisy and this double standard that we have in this country. That's what's ticked me off.
Yes. And you're right about that. And also, I want to introduce my guest. Come on, Mr. Chuck Barlow Jr., your guest is here. She was early. I like that about her because I was always prepared to believe when I was young. If you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
Young lady, introduce yourself.
Well, I am Coach Ayesha, and that's what I normally go by in the community. And so I'm here to assist and be on the team with Chuck with this great adventure and this big minor league that you guys have going on for, the minors and on the cheering, the dancing and the football and all the sports, and just, trying to maybe coming from my aspect from the inside with the mental piece, the mental component. So I do have the nonprofit here in Georgia. It's called Exploring Your Purpose, where we focus really right now on the mental and the behavioral health component. So just like you said, touching back bases, looking on at what's going on in the world, there's a lot going on right now, mentally and physically and emotionally. So that's the arena, and coming in and pairing with Barlow and you guys and making this thing go.
Thank you. And
welcome, Coach.
I don't want you to think that I wasn't aware. I see your name on the screen and everything, but I'd like to introduce you, because that's what the MFL about, the laboratory of change. Now we have a woman. I remember 15 years ago, the MFL was the first. A lot of people making such a big deal and not saying it's not, that we bringing women coming aboard in sports. But I did it 15 years ago. Right. And was nothing. Say I had the lady on Nightline and everything, but a lot of people, it wasn't no big deal made of it. But I'm glad that the MFL is the laboratory of change. As you see, we have women owners. We want women at the table, and that's something we discussed at the last show. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Gatewood, about having women at the table?
Well, that's exactly right. That's been one of the hallmarks of the MFL, is willingness to break the mold, add diversity to the mix. We had Dr. Eubanks and her amazing daughter on last week talking about their venture into the MFL, their ownership of the team down in Florida. And so seeing Coach Ayesha and the Eubanks family and other amazing women coming to the league, I hope this sets a precedent and example for other industries, for other sports franchises to become more proactive and inclusive. And we're seeing great strides across the leagues, but I think that what the MFL is doing is special. And I'm glad to see Coach Ayesha to join the fold and help lead the way.
And thanks for having me on board. It's nothing like a little woman's touch, a little bit of tap.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Just a little bit.
Can't beat it.
Look, and just to share a little bit, I mean, me and Ayesha went to Morris Brown College together, same time.
All right.
And while I was on the field handling the business, she was part of our Bubbling Brown Sugar, which is world renowned. And right now she's serving as the president. And the interesting part about what she's doing, she's using dance and art and those type of things to be able to help people express themselves. A lot of times we try to bring people to the table with things that don't interest them. But she's been able to have an impact on not just young women, not just young men who want to do dance or art. She's also been doing toy drives, food giveaways, and that's one of the things that attracted me to bringing her on the board for the Georgia Warriors. I say, you know what? It's people that we already know who are doing great things in our communities. Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? And so I reached out to her and she said, you know what? I like what you're doing. I would love to be a part of the MFL and what you all are doing. And if there's anything that I could do to help and support, I'm on board. And those are the type of things that we look for in leaders, right? It's so often people like her and myself are overlooked by even our peers, and so I want to make sure that I'm able to look at somebody who has been able to be successful and be through the struggle and also be supportive of the college right now. She's been very involved in helping the Morris Brown Restoration Project, and shout out to Dr. James, who's right now meeting with tracks accreditation, and so that's what it's all about. I think, the MFL is a great platform that engages and involves the community. And the fact that it's about community economic development, I think that kind of rung a bell to her because that's something that she's already doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barlow. I'm going to get you to start introducing me from now.
Absolutely. And when you said that, and I know Mr. Barlow, but when he told you take a look at things, I mean, what was when you had an opportunity to go look at the league, and what was the first thing coming to your mind?
Actually, the first thing that came to my mind, because I've been 20 years in the mental health field. So now it's moving to the behavioral health. So I'm thinking, not even on the sports, not even on dance that I love, just thinking on the aspect of how can you guys working on the sports, you're getting them trained and getting them where they need to go and putting in the dynamics. But where's the mental capacity at? Thinking about what they have going on outside of when they come into you guys to practice on the field and to talk about to interview and get their skills together. So my whole concept was just thinking of how can I touch them from the inside and give them that extra mental health support, because right now that's really, really big, especially in the African American community. And so I thought this would be a great avenue for that, to target that and to give more education on the different resources that are out here for people who are maybe suffering depression and anxiety and different things that you're like, man, just tough it through, just get on the field and go. But it may be some more underlying issues. So that was my whole avenue that I kind of wanted to go through when I thought about when Barlow had brought me on to be a part of this in the partnership. So that's kind of the direction. So whatever it expands on, if it's even with the staff, just doing some kind of community engagement, some mental health seminars, just something on the whole wellness of the person is my whole direction for everything. So hopefully we can make it work.
Well, if you didn't know, you had a chance to look. We have programs working with at-risk youth as well. No Thugs, Early Youth Offender Program, conflict resolution. Also, is with the MFL, the laboratory chain, we're about beyond the field with players as well. Entrepreneurship. And, we here to teach these guys, because you can't play football forever. So we do touch on those fields as well. So, we try to cover all bases as much as we can. This is so big what we're doing, but believe me, in my 28 years of doing this, I've got enough scratches on my back to understand that other different different parts of the organization need to be dealt with, and we do that. We've been very vast in terms of doing the things we need to do to help guys on and off the field. The field is temporary, it's the education of these young men. And, even with, we have Chaplain Robert Gatewood here. And he'll tell you, we want them to understand generational wealth, want them to understand economic development. That's why we have all these different components here, and something that Mr. Gatewood, I'll let him expand on this even more.
Well, first I want to congratulate Chuck and Ayesha in understanding that we do have to take a holistic approach to the whole person. And because, as traditionally men have been taught not to show emotions and carry all this baggage inside. And so you need people like Ayesha to come along sometime and let people know that just because you're in a tough sport doesn't mean you don't have feelings and emotions and that you're not affected by things. So I appreciate your division and the MFL for understanding that. And that's once again an example of why the MFL is so unique and has a different approach to the sports itself. And also, it also expands into the area of business development, that we're not just a league of tough guys out here, running down the field. We understand that there's that mental aspect, but it also extends into our financial lives. We have to be able to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and financially once those gridiron days are over, when you're no longer able to go out there and knock somebody down and run that ball. You still have to live. And many people, they leave the sports, they're really in the prime of their financial lives. And so this is the time, we don't want to wait until something happens or for some reason, heaven forbid, they're forced off the field. We like to start preparing them while they're in their prime, while they're still making money, while they're still able to make impacts in areas of society. And I think that's another good reason why it's important to have people like Ayesha to be around and to encourage and help people, prepare them mentally for the life off the field.
And absolutely. I know Dr. Myles mentioned about the entrepreneurship programs. So we definitely focus on entrepreneurship. We help them get in jobs. We teach them vocational skills to get in a job. So even on top of, you got the skill on the field, what other skills do you have outside of it? You can do both of them. You can do one of them. One of them may not be working for you, like you said. So we try to help teach them some vocational skills to get them into the job. We also do job placement. So we help them find something to help with their financial backings. We also have parental classes. So some individual, he may make a baby or have kids along the way of the process in this journey of life. So we do parental classes, how to manage your time, how to deal with balancing schedules, dealing with the other parent, co-parenting in your job, and time management. So we do offer a whole slew of services. So hopefully that we can help to engage and touch them from the inside and outside with what you all have going on.
Yes, sir. And also, let's not forget about the dance team, right? We know the dance team are part of our team, and they may have some concerns as well. And so, being able to include all of those services for anybody that's part of the Georgia Warriors and the MFL family is very important to us. And then even talking about, us being athletes, because I look at, band is a sport, marching band is a sport. You can tear your ACL just like you can any other thing, right? And so when you talk about being an athlete or being on a dance team, right? How did you get into your career? Like, this is a way that we're able to show people that, when your time is over, here's what we've been able to do. So I think that everybody on this call today are examples of that. Like, we weren't always on the field, but we had to prepare ourselves for those days when we could not play on the field anymore, or we did it now to help others get to that next level. So that's what I love about the MFL, is that it's all about the laboratory of change. It's about community and economic development. And one thing that I really loved is that when I told Dr. Myles about the HBCUs, he resonated with a lot of his buddies who he played with in high school, who went to HBCUs, who played in the NFL, who played in Super Bowls. You know what I mean? And so that's what it's about. It's about us looking at how we can help each other, PWIs, HBCUs, right? Black communities, communities of color, white communities, right? And Dr. Myles, I wasn't trying to get away from that conversation earlier about what's happening right now at all. There's no way for us to try to sweep that under the rug or get away from it. I just want to make sure that we shouted out those who have been able to accomplish in this day. And let's not forget the Electoral College. They're meeting today to talk about, the next president who's going to be walking in a few days, right? And so I think we have to we're talking about leadership. The MFL is all about leadership and us stepping up to not look for someone else to do what we can ourselves step up to the plate and take care of. And so that's what, I'm excited about. This is 2021. And we've learned some life lessons in 2020. I was telling somebody the other day, I feel like 2020 was the real year 2000 that everybody was kind of in fear of, right? I feel like we all had to figure out, dig deep within ourselves and figure this all out. While some people are still waiting on things to get back to whatever normal, whatever they think that's going to be, it's not going to be the same. And so I'm excited. I'm glad that Coach Ayesha has joined our team. And we have a lot more others who have joined our team. I mean, I don't know if you all have had a chance to see the social media, but we're letting people know that the Georgia Warriors are serious.
We see you tearing the social media up. Yes, sir. We do everything you do to help them notice that. And, and I have to commend you for the great job you're doing. But also, too, I would be remiss not talking about the conversation we was having earlier, but it is inside the MFL, because I don't know, we hired 2 new GMs. The Washington Chiefs got a new GM. His pay should be going up. And then also, we have the GM that, hey, you never know with Mr. Barlow. He know everybody. We got Tampa, we got them. We got the 49ers straight. Now we in the negotiating with a couple of other people down, a couple of other GM we talking to down in New Orleans. So, and then the big job, Africa, because we are constantly dialogue with that, because we're going there, ladies and gentlemen. That's something that I always was putting in motion for about 4 years ago. Finally, we go with it. I'm excited about, the first World Bowl ever. And it's just that sometimes I have to, catch myself because I get mad because, I'm no different than any other nationality. I legitimately care about my people. And sometimes if I sound selfish when I say my concern is not the other nationality, they look out for themselves. So
absolutely
looking out for each other, everybody like, wait a minute. Come on now. I've been stating a long time ago, and Mr. Gatewood, he'll expand on this. We're going to have to fight our own battle, man. Yeah. See, black people got to understand we cannot wait for nobody to do anything for us.
That's right.
If you're waiting for people to do something for you, buddy, you're going to still be waiting. That's just like when the Negro League got exploited by the White League. Then the other black players, I don't want to play in the Negro League. I'm waiting for them. You 50-some years old, you're still waiting. You know what I mean? Don't you wait. I tell people, we made the NFL what it is. Y'all did. And people don't understand that. But when it comes to us, we got to stop thinking if it ain't right, it ain't right. We got to stop that. We got to stop that. Black people are the biggest consumers in America, and we have nothing to show for it. Nothing. But yet and still, we always want to tell somebody else how to run their stuff. You can't tell people how to run that. That's like me telling you, wait a minute, you doing that wrong. Well, you don't know. Look at me like Dr. Myles, please. I can tell you about what I know, but I'm not going to venture in the area that you have your expertise in. That would be crazy. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Gatewood?
Well, you hit on some great points. One thing I will expound upon is that there's nothing wrong with self-preservation. Matter of fact, if you're not into preserving yourself, you're really committing suicide. Mm-hmm. And just because you're looking out for yourself and your own community does not mean that you have any type of animosity or disdain for other communities. Right. As a matter of fact, we're a better society when we can all work together. Absolutely. But you cannot work with other societies if you're not upholding your own. So we have a stake in building our own institutions, our own businesses, our own organizations, uplifting each other, making sure we have our financial, mental, physical, spiritual, political health in order. And so that's why I like that concept of going to Africa, because once again, it plays into our own self-preservation, because there are really some sinister forces out here that really don't want us on this planet. They don't want us to survive. They don't want us to be economically viable. And so we can't focus on that or get obsessed with it. But the best payback or the best revenge is to be successful. And that's why we have to pool our resources and help lift each other up. And that's why I look at this. I look at the MFL as a laboratory of change in the sports arena, but it's also a laboratory of change in helping the community and helping put people to work and build institutions and businesses, and going across the sea into Africa and forming coalitions with our brothers and sisters over in the motherland. So once again, the MFL is setting a very, very enviable precedent that many institutions should follow and take heed and pay attention to. And that's why it's good to be a part of something they're doing such great things, not only here in the United States, but also across the globe.
Absolutely. I just love the fact that, when I think about the MFL and the first word is the minor, and I think of, minority. That's what we are. That's who we are. So the foundation comes with that, with the MFL. Somebody was asking me what it meant, and I just put the word on there, but Barlow went and put the whole website. It has a great foundation. It's strong, and it's like the more you get that foundation, you just keep building on top. And like you said, we stand strong and going back to the motherland and just really just build. I mean, it's gonna be so strong. Black people are really smart, some intelligent people. We carry a lot. We carry a lot, from history.
What you said is very important, young lady. But since you're part of the MFL right now, let us get what the MFL really means. Right, gentlemen?
That's right.
Money for life if you own one.
That's right. Now you know.
You go talk to your people, and they ask you, the Minor Football League said, no, money for life if you own one. And that's why it's so important to me to get people of color to own. Think about this for 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. $2 trillion come to our hands every year. Black Wall Street is gone. Let's stop talking about past tense. Let's talk about now. How can we get back? The MFL sports opened the door for a lot of things. Business. Who gonna do the concession? That's money. Who gonna do the apparel? That's money. Who gonna do the parking lot? That's money. Who gonna do the tickets? That's money. Okay, sponsorship, that's money. Anybody deal with us? Hotel, you sponsor us, why? We got teams coming in, they got to stay there, right? Buses, you sponsor, we got to go on the road. So everybody to deal with the MFL, that's what we mean by economic development. And the key to it all, affordable entertainment. I tell everybody all the time, and people look at me, and they look at me funny because I say, even when I was playing ball in the league, I'm not a role model. Why do you say that? Because kids look up to athletes, but I want them to understand athletes are human and they make mistakes too. So when you put them on that pedestal, and as soon as something go wrong, you ready to hang them. Because then when you get to, just like the kid we had in Washington, D.C., that with the Washington team that they cut, this kid, okay, he got $14 million. Now we gonna jump around and say, ooh, wait, but it doesn't come with any instructions. That money, if you don't talk to Mr. Robert Gatewood, that money, help me, Mr. Gatewood, help me, because I get fired up sometimes. And I don't want the young lady to say, Dr. Myles.
No, have at it.
Well, I'm glad, honored, and flattered that you brought me in to help educate and help point people in the right direction when it comes to money. I was thinking the other day, Dr. Myles, and this is not always about a race thing, but we do have to look at the 800-pound gorilla in the room, that we are at a disadvantage, and not even just because of the race, but because of the number of years that you start out behind the other people who are in the same race with you. I've discovered something, guys, and probably many of you have already discovered it too. You can't save your way out of this. You can't work your way out of it. You have to own your way out of it. The only way to even this playing field in this predicament in which we found ourselves, you have to own something.
Right.
You can't work enough hours on your job.
Right.
You can't go out here and hope to hit the lottery. You can't go out here and put money in the bank and watch that 2% interest. That's not going to happen. You have to own something. That's why I say, look, if you can't own a business, then you better go buy you stock. You better get you some assets that are going to generate wealth, because we are at a disadvantage. So what I have to tell people is that, look, let's be realistic. I hate to bust some bubbles here. People on these jobs working hard. So if I sit here and work hard, if I put in a few extra hours, that's when it comes to building wealth. You have to change the mindset. And I'm sure Coach Ayesha understands that whole mindset. And if your mindset doesn't change, just like like Dr. Myles said, you give this guy $14 million. If he doesn't understand how money works, that money's going to be gone in a year. So we have some work to do, and that's why I'm glad, again, the MFL understands it and accepts the challenge and brings in people like this talented panel to address some of these issues.
And just like you said, Mr. Gatewood, we get comfortable. We get comfortable working these 9-to-5 jobs. We be scared to, especially our culture. We're scared to step out on faith and, test the waters and say, I might fail, but it may give me a bunch of no's. But sometimes that one yes has equaled up to all those no's you've gotten. And we as a culture, we're scared to step out. We work these 9-to-5s. We go every day, all day, nothing to show. We can't go on vacation. You got to take days off, all this kind of things. But when you find out and you step on faith, and then you just got to get out there. It's going to be tough. No one said the road is easy. Getting something and owning something is not easy, because like you said, we got the short hand of the stick and nothing's handed to us, and we're already 1,000 steps behind and they're 1,000,000 steps forward. So we have to think, put in our mind, doing things differently, how to own stuff, be business owners, work for ourselves. When I tell you 2 years ago, for myself, I worked for the state of Georgia, and I worked for many, many years, and I answered to someone. I mean, I was over the entire state of Georgia work programs for mental health, people with mental health and physical disabilities, the adult program, getting them jobs and getting them to school. I worked for some years doing that work. Worked 9 to 5. I had to struggle with my family. I had boys come, all this kind of stuff, raising a family. And when I was in the right place at the right time. God showed me how to do. Oftentimes he put us around the right people in the right place to do and give you the skills of what you need. We just got to learn how to use our mind and operate and take that and start your own business, get the contracts, just really do the work. But people don't want to do the work. So if you don't want to do the work, then you don't want the benefits. So, but like I said, 2 years ago, I stepped out doing my own business, and it's just really, really beneficial now. It's helping others. I'm on my own time. And, just we as a Black community need to try to understand that, so that we can work for ourselves and do what we need to do. And now I can help so many more people with my own time. So that's the whole logistics, just getting us out that set mindset, doing things differently. Try something different. It may be doing something for 30 years. Try something a little different, may get a different result.
And I think, too, one of the key things that I know Dr. Myles and Dr. Gatewood, and I'm sure you do too, Coach Ayesha, is that we focus on building healthy relationships, right? Success doesn't happen in a bubble. Many of us may say, oh, I'm successful because myself. Yeah, I did it myself. But somewhere along the line, whether it's a teacher, a mentor, a coach, somebody who gave you some time, gave you that opportunity, right, to learn something. And then what I've learned, too, is that there's no such thing as a bad mentor, right? Because a bad mentor at least teach you how not to be, right? And so I think that we have to be careful what we ask for and what we are mad about, because you can learn things from people at all walks of people. That's one of the things that I pride myself on, is that I learn from everyone. I learn from people that I walk by. I learn from the people, God, that everybody ignoring. I try to take pauses in my life and throughout my day to just appreciate and reflect on other things that some people may not take time to do. Like, do you take time to smell the air? Like, do you take time to look at the flower, right? Do you take time to just to yourself? Like, do you meet with yourself? Like, a lot of people say, what is that? Look, it's so much going on. If you never take 30 minutes or an hour out to just digress from everything that's going on in your life and in your world, it'll just be a running clock. And we know you can't operate healthy and successfully on a running clock. But those healthy relationships, having grit, having resilience, humbling yourself, right? Most people don't understand. Each and every one of us on this call have been humbled being an entrepreneur, right? You made some great decisions, right? And then some
still have to be.
Right. Right. And I think that's what it's really all about, being vulnerable, right? Sharing those life lessons are critical to the success of our communities and our young people, and being able to value our elders and those who have retired, those military and first responders who I'm not going to overlook again, right? Who are out there on the front lines. We have to protect them, all of them, if we're going to do that. Not just some of them. Like, if it's just for one group, it's just for another. Don't give me the flip side coin. Like, don't give me a double-sided coin, right? That's not an option. Like, and then I think all of us have said it very clearly that we all have to stand up as leaders and stand in the gap when things like this is happening, to show our young people that no, this is not right, and we as adults must do our part to stand together to make sure that each and every one of us are held accountable in these type of situations.
And that's the thing, man. You do have an eye for talent, Mr. Barlow, because Coach Ayesha, she said some things that that really resonate with me, because I am a maverick. I'm the type of guy, I'm going. I'll worry about getting back when I get there, but I'm going to do so good, there'll be no need for me to come back. That's the type of individual I am. And going back to, like Mr. Gatewood said, we got to own something. And the only problem with that, like you said, Coach Ayesha, people get comfortable. And that's the problem with Black people. And I tell them all the time, because you're my complexion, don't make you my kind. Let's don't get this confusion. You know what I mean? And you had people, I hate to hear people, and I can say this because I'm older than all y'all on the panel. And when they say, well, 2 more weeks, 2 months, I will retire. I'll just sit home. You couldn't live off 2 checks. How you gonna live off 1? Right. People, fantasy. Except this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Yes, these people work you to death till you die and they go get somebody else. Just
Absolutely.
like if you own someone, you could pass it down to your generation, to your kids. And like Mr. Gatewood always say, don't care how good your job is, you can't give it to your son, can't give it to your daughter. You if they don't get tired of you eventually. So I tell everybody that MFL is the laboratory of change, and mean it always has been a glass ceiling when it comes to people of color. The playing field was always bumpy. We know that. Come on, man. We know that. But it doesn't say, of course, I had several businesses I had been successful, some I failed. But it's not whether you're going to get knocked down or not. You got to ask yourself, are you going to get up? And I tell people all the time, if this was easy, everybody be doing it.
Absolutely.
This ain't easy. And anybody that tell you it is, they lying to you.
They lying to you.
To tell you go to New York and you lost up there and you ask somebody where to go and different people point different ways, you just all got work it out myself. That's how life is. And we got to understand that we need to understand strength and numbers. Strength and numbers, ladies and gentlemen. And y'all know that. But the problem is getting like-minded people such as yourself to be in one accord together. You know, I've been fortunate by the help of the Lord. You know, I always keep the mindset that because you my competitor, don't make you my client. Because you know we're our own worst enemy. Right. But we try to give you this information, you choose not to take it, but that doesn't mean we're going to give up on you. Right, Mr. Gatewood?
Right. And you are right on so many levels. I think what I like about this group today is that it's focusing on the mental aspects. That's been one of my secret sauces over the years. I wrote a book in 2008 called Played in Full, and it talks about the marketing exploitation of Black America. Right. And it talks about how the reason we can't seem to move beyond this predicament in which we find ourselves is because we've been downright played. It's no accident that we're put into these jobs, and the first thing you do when you get into the job is go buy yourself a car. Now you're saddled with a car note. Next thing you know, you're working to pay that car note. And then instead of going out buying you some stock or some appreciable asset to help pay for that car, now you get into an apartment. Now you're a renter and you're paying a car note. Now all of a sudden you got to get you some rims for that car. You need some nice clothes to put on. You haven't spent one penny on anything that's going to return money back to you. And so what I've been encouraging people to do is let's shun some of this materialism and turn our mind towards owning something. And when I say own something, it doesn't necessarily have to be a business, even though a business is probably one of the most attainable assets that we can get our hands on, because one thing we've never been short of is the ability to do hard work and get our hands dirty. That's a great skill. That's a good transferable skill when it comes to a business owner. But we can own other things too, like stocks and bonds and all real estate. There are other ways to get to that break that glass ceiling that we seem to find ourselves under so often. But ownership is the word, but it starts with the mindset. You got to think like an owner. You have to think like you can own a piece of it instead of working for people all of your life. And it doesn't knock people who have 9-to-5 jobs. You can be a 9-to-5er and still be an owner. They're not mutually exclusive. So that's why I like this panel today. It addresses the mentality, the mindset. And that's really what it's going to take to get us from point A to point Z.
And I think just to add to what you said, Dr. Gatewood, I tell people all the time that, you know, young people learn from the older generation, right? The retired individuals, if they are around, or they learn from their peers, right? It should be a combination of both, right? We're wondering why people not hiring our young people. No, they're not supposed to. We're supposed to, right? Yeah. I remember Dr. King in his book, Where Do We Go From Here? The last book he wrote before he passed, right? And this just would be January, right? This would be 2021, and his birthday would be coming up, right, for us to have this conversation. His book was called Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. He didn't even get a chance to publish that book. Coretta published that book after his death. And what he said in there is, why are we asking for people to do something that we have the resources to do ourselves? When you think about before integration, Coca-Cola had trouble because you had a black family over here that had this another recipe that was just as competitive. And if you go back and look at history, Coca-Cola had to play a black woman for that original recipe, right? So some of what other people have used, they've used better than we have because we haven't valued it. But we need the other generation to step up like Dr. Myles has done. Look at us. Look at the generation that are represented on this. People say, oh, they can't work together. They don't listen to each other. That's not true. That you can't generalize everybody. Just like what we're seeing today in Washington, D.C., we can't generalize everybody. There's a small group of people that need more prayer. That's all I can say, and I'll leave it at that. But I think that building healthy ecosystems, right, is what the MFL is all about. I love the fact that even I'm a general manager for the Georgia Warriors. I'm going to fight all day long for the Georgia Warriors, right? But I love the fact that Dr. Myles say, listen, we're here for each other. All the general managers have an obligation to each other, right? It's about a family. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the MFL. And I thank Ayesha for joining me and the others who are part of the MFL family and the Georgia Warriors as we continue to, step into 2021. This is the first MFL show. So I just want to thank y'all for allowing us to be here.
Thank you.
And able to bless
Thank
the inside of the MFL.
Absolutely. And I have to go back to I'm older than Mr. Gatewood, but I think of him as my big brother, and I like the fact that his book is out. Of course, I've been getting ready to push mine out that everybody's so afraid of. The books. The first one is The Black Race for Sale, No Takers. The title scared the heck out of a lot of people. The United States, the home of the Constitution. And then the third book that's might be published before the other ones is, The Greatest That Never Was. Because you think about it, gentlemen and ladies, don't matter how much you do, if people don't see it and recognize it, you never existed.
Right.
It's so important what you said earlier. Stop selling our recipes and stuff to people. You get no credit for that. So you really didn't exist. You never was. But I promised myself that MFL will be Black people will always have this type of generational wealth. So that's why I say, let you get a few words in too, Coach, that you tell them the MFL stand for money for life if you own one. You make sure you let them know that. If you know what you're stand for.
I definitely will.
This is the first show of the 21 season. I'm excited about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I must get you back on the show, Coach, because we had different GMs on all the time and coaches. And I know Dr. Freeman watching this, so he's always talking about, Mr. Chuck Barlow doing such a tremendous job. But, tell us how we can get in contact with you, Mr. Gatewood, and then the next person and the next person.
Well, you can always find me here on every Wednesday at 5 o'clock on the MFL as one of the co-hosts. But I also have my radio TV show, The Marketing Pulpit, every Friday at 10:30 a.m. You can go to marketingpulpit.com and you can watch the past shows. We are a business development show, and we've been doing it for 10 years. We're also on Radio 1 over at WL 1450, and we've been doing that for the past 10 years. We're just waiting for the opportunity to go back into the studio. They chased us out because of COVID-19, but we do plan to go back into the studio once they give us the green light. And also, I just want to thank being on the panel with Chuck and Ayesha, and you guys have been a great team today. And just want to make sure that I just hope everybody over in DC get out of there safely. The people who are endangered, and they can put this thing down, this insurrection. Right. And so, just glad to be here,
Coach.
Well, I guess I have so many things going on. I forget. But if they ever want to get in contact with me, I guess they can get in contact with any one of you guys. I know. Right. or through Chuck Barlow. I know it's always attached. I know my business is 5678dancenow.inc. Exploring Your Purpose Here is the mental health program. I'm all on social media with the 5678dancenow.inc, and then it follows and links through to the behavioral health. I'm also on the radio at 102.6. That's here in Atlanta at Morrisbine College every month. Once a month, I do a mental health and wellness segment where we kind of talk about what's going on at that current time. So last month was talking about coping with holiday blues. So this month it'll be something different. We're working on our grand opening. We've done a slight opening here in Atlanta for our new facility that's in Atlanta. Behavioral health. We do a lot of things, different jobs and so forth. So we're here off of Jonesboro Road, and also in downtown Decatur. So if they ever want to reach me, 5678dancenow.inc, they just type it in the web browser and they'll find me. And it's a pleasure actually being on the panel, getting to meet other like-minded individuals. Although I'm a woman, but I feel like because you guys are men, I feel like it's a strong foundation for me coming into, and I can just, put a little sprinkle, but you guys already haven't found it. So excited.
Awesome. Let me also say, Ayesha just opened up a new location as well. So I just want to congratulate you on that as well.
Thank you.
God is expanding your vision, and that's why the MFL is a good place for you. We want you to bring some of that love to the MFL and help us to build the community together.
Absolutely.
My name is Chuck Barlow Jr. I'm the general manager of the Georgia Warriors. I can be reached at GeorgiaWarriorsMFL@gmail.com. Again, Georgia Warriors.
Yes. And also, this has been another edition of Inside the MFL. You can reach us on our website. MFL is here. We're on YouTube, all the social media platforms. You can reach us on Facebook. We come on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock inside the MFL. So until Friday, I want to thank my panel for being on. Great job as usual.
Thank you.
And Mr. Gatewood and Chuck, you have been watching another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles, and I'll see you Friday. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.